notice the holes for the mounting are different on the two tailgates. You can see there's about, the bottom hole is about a good inch from the bottom, and on this one it's at the bottom, so they are interchangeable. To get the tailgates interchangeable, but the hinges aren't. And that's the other one. That's not much better, really. Or maybe it is. How are you doing, all you out there in YouTube land? This is video 19, I think, on this restoration. It's not going to be very long because I haven't done a lot since Christmas. I was doing the headlining. I'd got the sunroof done, and I was going to do the headlining next over Christmas, and I got it done. I have to say that the glue I was using, excellent for the sunroof, not a good idea for the whole interior roof. It sticks so quickly, but virtually on contact. As soon as you spray it on and you touch the material, it sets. It's great. You can imagine that would be great in a lot of circumstances where you want immediate hold, but you don't want immediate hold on these sunroof on these roof these fiberglass roofs, because you need to. I've watched, you probably all have watched these videos of guys doing it, and they're moving it around and pull it off again and reposition it. Well, there's none of that allowed on with that glue. It's not. I wouldn't recommend it at all for the actual headlining material. Just for the sunroof itself, a can of it would do that. Well, half a can, but I had to persevere with it because that's all I had, and I wasn't going to go looking for any more. So you can imagine how careful I had to be. I had to, when I put my hand on it and pushed it down, it had to be exactly in the right place. Now I got a couple of creases in places, and there was no getting them off. Once it was on, I had to live with the crease. Wasn't going to take it all off just to, just for that. Ideally, you want something that sets in about 10 or 15 minutes. Slow setting, really, and you can leave it to set at its will. But I'm going to show you it anyway, and you can see what a great job or what a bad job I made of it. Not bad, not as good as I'd liked, but I said that about everything, don't I? Well, there we go. There's some creases along there. There's one. I don't know if it's because the strobe light's on. Maybe take it off and see what it makes a difference. It actually does, yeah. There's some creases along the front. That was probably the worst part of it, actually. See, there's creases there. They're not too bad, but I'm going to have to live with them. You can see them there. Same on the other side. Once you get the light, the rest of it not too bad. Sunroof area came out quite good. I don't know if I said about the material that let me get in there. So when you're cutting this material, I cut it quite down into the corner. Cut this down into the corner. You can see there's a little. You might see there's a little hole there. So I came too near the corner, because this material is stuck now. Well, this is holding it onto the edge of the. This is holding it on. This plastic grip here is holding it onto the edge of the thing. So this is kind of floating now. This area, this area, the whole way round. There's a gap there, and the idea is that you fill that gap with the material. So when I cut it, I cut it down, into the corner. I cut it down into the corner, and then it was too near the corner, and well, you can see what I've done there, but there's a lot of shadows. It's not as bad looking, it's not as dirty as it kind of looks. Fortunately, I haven't got another one, so that's going to have to do. I can put some paint on it, I suppose. probably show it up if I did that. You can see there's a bit of a crease in that bit there. Not too bad, don't I? Cut myself. Right, anyway, so there we are. This is what it looks like. That's as good as it gets. Didn't have a major problem really in the centre. You can see there. There was one little air pocket that I had, and I had a little injection syringe thing, and I put some glue in it, and I injected it through the headlining, and that seems to have stuck it. You'd hardly notice it anyway. So that's the headlining in. But as I say, don't use the fast setting glue. Get the slowest you can, something that can be pulled off and put back on again, because I couldn't afford to make any mistakes with this, and I got a couple of creases in places. There's no point in saying I didn't, but it's better than it was, and we moved on a bit, So that's it really. I don't think there's a whole lot to add to that. There's one thing I was going to say. I've got the tailgate still to do. I know I keep talking about this tailgate. I do more talking about it than doing it. But what I was going to say to you was that I got some. Let's get into the whole Jeep is piped up with this. Well, I ordered this off of eBay. It was conifer brake pipe. Right. So when I was under the car the other day, I was looking around at it, and I thought I could see sort of a rusty area on it now. So I got some sandpaper on it, and I don't know. I mean, it said conifer, but you can sell you anything these days. It looks that I got some sandpaper and I rubbed it, and I don't know if you can see it there. It actually went. It looks like ordinary metal to me. I don't know if conifer with a copper colour, finish on it. So I may well have been duped there with that, and I may well have steel brake pipes on it, which means they'll only last 3 or 4 years before they'll all need changing. So I don't know, but that's a bit of a bummer, because I was, I'd done them in copper the last time, brake pipe, and they lasted 12 years, and they still, when I took them apart, they were still okay. This time I thought I'd go for a better quality. You always talk about these copper ones giving out, but I never had any problem. So I went for conifer, and now I'm not sure if I got conifer or whether I've got ordinary steel pipes that are made to look like conifer. So I suppose time will tell. The two tailgates I have are leaning up here. That's the original one, that blue one there. It's probably the worst of the two. The black one is possibly in better condition, but all I've got to fix it with, and there's the thing, it needs at least the bottom end, this bottom edge taken off. At least it's rusted. There's holes along that edge there all the way down, and it's quite good the rest of the way. There's a bit of rust there, but everywhere else seems okay. So I was thinking of maybe just splicing in a piece at the bottom down the strip, but all I have is a bit of metal that isn't the width of the door, so I'm going to have to do it in 2 pieces. And then there's the top corner's got to be done. You'll see that in another video that I've put with this. The top edge is knackered, so I'm going to have to splice a piece in there as well. So it's going to be a right mess round. And I mean, ideally you'd want to buy a couple of new panels. Then that would solve most of the problem, and then all I'd have to do is do the bottom edge, which is completely toast as well. It's all holes, isn't it? As you probably saw in one of the videos I just put out here in front of this one, I suppose, or just behind this. I'll maybe put it behind this one. Anyway, well, that's where we are. I might have to make a folder up. I don't know. I didn't really want to be starting making a folder, but I might have to make a metal folder or sheet metal bender to form this at this edge and that edge. I don't really want to be spending any money, and all the ones I've seen on eBay and Amazon look like rubbish, so I'll probably make one anyway. And another reason why I haven't been putting as many videos out as you would probably expect somebody who said they were going to show everybody how to do it, or what to do, or how I've done it, is that my internet is so slow, or was so slow, that it took me 2 days to upload a video that I made. You know, every time I made one, it took 2 days to upload it, and sometimes it didn't even do it at that. I had to stop it and start again. I've got fibre broadband in now, so maybe I might load this one up and see how long it takes. Might take the pain out of doing it. Right, talk to you. Right, these are some of the bits of metal I found outside. I've had them years since I made a trailer, and I'm going to use them. I'm going to use them to make a sheet metal brake. And the only reason I'm going to make a brake, I see Fitzy Fabrication doing door bottoms. Doing door bottoms without a brake. He was able to do it over an I-beam, but that I could do that, but unfortunately to replicate this top end, this top end here, there's a piece of metal that goes in just there. That's it there. It's just a U-shaped piece of metal, and it's spot welded both sides there and along there. And to replicate that, I'm going to need to be very, very accurate with my bending, with the bending of the metal. So that's what I'm going to make. So I'm going to waste a day now, if not more, making this thing, just so I can bend that piece of tin there. And I think I have a little bit more, but obviously you can see by looking at it that it's not long enough. So I'm going to have to use part of the top. I'm going to have to do it in 2 pieces basically with that. Right, let's go. Right, first of all, you can see I made a bender to bend this stuff for the back tailgate. Now I made this, let's stand back a bit, I made this bender out of scrap metal. You've probably seen that in the pictures. Just copied stuff I see on YouTube really, same as everybody else. It has an adjuster. If you do that up, it puts more tension on the two bars. So anyway, yeah, so the hinges are made out of that's just that's a bolt with the head rounded, and it's the shaft of the bolt. The thread didn't start till about here, so it's nice and tight inside that bush there. And then bushes were made out of the suspension on the Range Rover. That you've got those yellow bushes that you get, and they have an insert in between them, stop them collapsing, and that's all they are. And I think the bolts are probably the bolts that you use with them, you know, just welded. It's not as quite easy as you think making a bender, but anyway. And I did notice now that the bottom plate down there is starting to bend. This one's not bending at all. I welded a bit of angle iron in underneath it as well. This one, and I did weld something underneath it as well. This one to strengthen it, but it hasn't seemed to have done the job. It seems to be sinking in the middle on the main part. But anyway, it's what I have, and I'll have to put. I could put one of these tensioners maybe on the bottom to strengthen up the base. Maybe that's what I'll have to do at some stage. But it's working at the moment anyway. And where I am with that tailgate now is I still haven't done the bad rust along the top yet. I haven't got to that. I'm in the process now of replacing the that bottom end. You know, that whole bottom corner was gone. So there's a new bottom corner in there now, or bottom edge. There it is. I had to join it there because I didn't have enough that was long enough. A bit of metal long enough, so I had to join it there. There it is. That's where the bolts go. The brackets go through there, and they're bolted down through there. I'll show you what I had to do. I had to. I was saying that these brackets aren't all the same, and I looked on the ones on the car that the original tailgate come off, and there was an extra hole drilled. So it would have took either type of tailgate, this one or the blue one that's over against the wall. Bearing in mind that the blue one takes that hole, and this black one takes that hole and that hole. So what I've done is I've drilled it and tapped it. So now this is gonna work like that, and that's how it's going to work. Not using the furthermost hole on this particular tailgate, and that sits in a recess that I've had to put into it. Let's see if we can see it. There it is. Not 100% pretty, but it's not too bad. And you can see what's going to happen there. There's a drainage hole there and a drainage hole there. Now what I'm at now is I've got these. I've took that piece. This is the piece that was in there, and it was it was knackered really. There's no two ways about it. The far ends were rusted through. Rather than replacing bits of it, I managed to get this here. And what this is it's 1.5 inch square tube that came out of a bench weight press thing. You know, you'd use for body lifting. I'll show you. Let's have a look. It's me explaining it. Don't make much sense. There's one of There's another one I made earlier. That's got a leg on it for the, if you were lifting up weights, you'd put one end on that. So it's got to be fairly strong. This one has got loads of holes in it, so I didn't choose this one. I chose a different one. But I cut it in. Know how to cut it in half with a grinder. So I've cut it in half, and now I've got 1.5 inches. There's a hole for the wiring to go through, and there's a couple of holes there for spot welding the bracket down there for the opening device. It's got to be spot welded back onto that, and that will fit. That will fit under there like that, and I'll have to weld the joint up in here. Like that. So there it is now. That's the new piece of metal, and that's kind of supports that that top piece. I don't want to take this off if I had. Well, I wouldn't take it off because I'd never get it back on again once I've opened up all that. It's quite a substantial bit of metal, and if I open these up, it'll bend all this up here. Well, I might do it in the end. I'll see how I get on, but I'm not keen to do it now. So I've ground all these areas. I'm going to put some weld-proof primer on them, and then I'm going to be spot welding that back on when I've got this cover, this bottom piece sorted out. So that's where I am at the moment. There's always more than you think. There's always more than you think you're going to get, isn't there? So now I've still got to do the top end. When I've worked out how the hell I'm going to bend that. I don't think that bender of mine's going to cope with it properly, personally, but can't see nothing there. I don't think my bender's going to cope with it, bending the metal perfectly, so I think I might have to do it with a hammer maybe over this edge, which seems a bit arse about face, but it might be easier to clamp it with that and knock it down over this edge, you know, to get a right angle, and then do it that way rather than trying to bend it, because I've got a feeling with this it makes a lovely job just there, but the nearer you get to the middle, the rounder it gets. So it's great, this great little bender for doing, you know, I've done some bits for it now and it's perfect, but really when you're looking at sort of 6-8 inches long, but you start the metal I need, it's going to be the length of that, and I'm feeling that it'll be round here rather than sharp. Anyway, we'll see, so let's get on with it. Right, this is where I've got to. It looks great now. Got a piece fitted in there, more or less the right dimensions. It's all folded over. It starts to get a bit ugly when I get to the bit I had to add on. This is a bit of metal I had left over. Didn't have anything else, so I've used it to make the end. It's welded. I've still got the a little rail that welds on here, spot welds on here, to put on, but I didn't want to put it on yet until I get the rest of it finished. As I'll be knocking it and hitting it, but I have it made. Just needs spot welding on, but so this isn't hammered down yet. It's just loosely fitted. I could slide it off, so I want to slide it off and paint the other side of it. The idea. It won't come off. It shows you how well it is. It won't come off. Won't come off by hand. Just I need to knock it off. There you are. that's where we are. Right, so here's the piece that I've cut out. Cut out the worst of it. The ends solid right up to there. Same solid right up to there. I'm not so much point in cutting that out. And this is the piece that I cut out. Now it's rusted from outside because on the inside it's perfect, or nearly perfect. You can see there's a film of rust proofing that they put in to the. They sprayed the inside of the tailgate with some rust proofing when they made them, but it's a long time dried out. That has really. So there's that. I've got to make that now and weld that in. Now there's a couple of weak spots, maybe not. It's pretty solid actually. That might. I don't know. I'll have to see. That could be a weak spot there. You can see inside. There's that piece I put in there. I've welded that in. It's been spot welded or plug welded top and bottom, and you can see it's sitting in there nice enough now, and it's all been painted south of that anyway. It's all been painted south of that. Yeah, that's it there. You can see that grey piece there. That's the piece I've put in, and everything seems sound in there as well. You can see that's actually where they put it in and sprayed the sealer, the rust proofer, to stop it. Didn't, well, it worked on the inside of this one because it never rusted on the inside, so I suppose it did work. It's rusted from the outside, which is what's happened. So now I've just got to remake this piece, which maybe not that hard if I had any good metal, which I don't think I have. Anyway, I'll show you. There's paint. That's the trouble with using these sort of paints. There's paint pouring out of everywhere. Everything seems fairly fine, not disastrous anyway. It's very dark, isn't it? You can't see it because it's so dark out there. Oh yeah. You can see it don't look too bad anyway, so I can't show you it too handy without moving it because it's so dark behind me. There you are. That's the edge that I've knocked over. Bit of a wide berth there, but I think it's okay. So there we are. Let's get on with it, I suppose. Stop talking. got the tailgate finished. Had a few issues as usual. I got some rust proofing I sprayed inside the whole thing at the door, and it's leaking out in places. It'll stop leaking eventually. But anyway, it's good stuff anyway, to stop it getting rusty again. But so the problem I have, I suppose, the only problem I have now is that this door doesn't really want to close down unless I put my hands on the two corners, which I think is pretty common on these, but getting it tested, they might pick up on it, you know. I'll have to see if I can make it better. But it's closed now, and it's okay to drive around like that. So lift that up, drop that down. You can see the reason. Well, part of the reason is I had to make recesses for these hinges to fit in, and I didn't make them big enough. They're not wide enough. I didn't take into account the bracket that's on the cross member, so unfortunately it's tight there. But it'll be all right. It'll be all right. It would have been better if I'd have done a proper job of it. But there's the hinge, and it's got a spring. It's got a spring either side to assist it, you know, and they're on. I haven't put the backing on it yet. So I only clear coated it yesterday, day before yesterday. So that's where it is. Everything's back to where it should be, more or less. So as I say, I'm a mess in there anyway. But so as far as closing it goes, closes quite nice. A bit high, and I've got a feeling that's to do with the not having a big enough recess down here. It's not letting it drop down far enough, but I'm going to have to live with it. It's maybe it'll come down with age, maybe, who knows. So there it is. All the lights work. The two lights for the number plate work. Had to fish them up through the door. And that's it really. As I say, the only issue I have with it is closing the tailgate, top tailgate, because it needs pushing the two corners to lock it in. I'll have to mess about with it, I suppose. But as we are, that's it now. So now hopefully I've just got to do a few little jobs and get it for a test, and then get it in, you know, get it on the road, because I'm fed up having it locked in the garage. Right, let's go for it.